Aidan Langford of the new Netflix comedy from Happy Madison Productions, Roommates, joins us on the Untitled Film Project Podcast. Aidan, how are you today, sir? And thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to kind of chatting about roommates and about my life and acting and yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. We're going to try to get to all that in the next few minutes here. But Roommates is a comedy about going to college for the first time and like just kind of finding yourself and all those things. But there's obviously a lot of laughs in said comedy, but there's also a ton of heart in this as well. Could you feel that one when you read the script for the first time and auditioned for all that, and two on set? Could you feel that there was an extra element of maybe specialness and not just like, oh, this is just a laugh machine?
Yes, 100%. I mean, when I read the script for the first time, it definitely stood out to me as sort of, it reminded me a lot of the movies that I had grown up watching and a lot of those coming of age films from like the 90s and early 2000s that I really love and are really nostalgic to me now. Like Clueless and Mean Girls. There's like all these movies that are kind of comfort movies for me now at 24. And so that was kind of the first thing that jumped out to me is it felt a lot like those. And it was written so well and was so funny. I mean, both of the writers are SNL writers. So I think that kind of naturally happens when you have writers from SNL. Um, and then on top of that, the cast was like absolutely amazing and a dream to work with. I mean, these are some of the like best comedians right now and they're doing really, really great work. And there's some kind of heavy hitters in the industry for sure. And so being able to be a part of that and watching them work was a really rewarding experience. And that comedy and that like light energy and vibe translated off screen as well. I mean, we were having a good time the entire time we were filming. There were jokes being cracked and people were laughing and dancing and Adam would show up to set with his little boombox playing music. There was a moment where Nick Kroll and Carol Kane, I have a video of it somewhere, don't tell anyone, but they're like out on the porch and they're like dancing with Adam and the boombox. So there are just so many like fun, light moments that happened throughout, even when we weren't shooting.
And as an actor, that's got to feed the energy of the project, I would think, and your performance and everything going on. My son dabbles in acting, and it's and even in our limited resume of me being there for that, I know the difference between, oh, this is like a super serious set, or they don't know what they're doing, or also and then, oh, this is just super fun, and the whole spectrum in between. I can only imagine an actor of your caliber can sense that as well, and it feeds that performance.
It feeds into the performance and it makes the vibes like just it makes them so much better and so much more fun and you feel like a weight of pressure kind of taken off your shoulders when you have that sort of light and fun energy and it feels like you have the space and the opportunity to just kind of play and like have a good time with the scenes and figure out sort of what the heart is of them and not feel like there is sort of a right from a wrong in that.
A lot of comedies you'll hear you'll watch directors' commentaries or hear behind the scenes stuff, whatever. And a lot of comedies, maybe not pride themselves, but I would say an element of success for comedies is being able to improv and maybe riff off somebody, or this thing happened over here, and so you kind of made, and then that take made the final cut. Was there any of that on the set as well?
There was a lot
Imagine
of
Happy
that.
Madison, I would imagine there would be.
There was a lot of that. And that was one of the most fun things about it was that we were able to just like have fun and say what we wanted to say and live in the moment and not feel like we were constrained by the script or by the dialogue. Like we could kind of explore and branch out from there. I think every scene in this film, there are at least a couple lines that were not in the original script and that were totally improv. And some of the best moments and some of my favorite moments were improv. There's a moment where Nick Kroll, after Celeste kind of comes over for Thanksgiving, he yells and he's like, "What happened to chicken tenders?" Like, yes, let's order eel for $200. That whole like spiel of his was all improv. None of that was in the script. I mean, the scene was supposed to just end right after the like hugs and we all walk off. That was improv. There's a moment where I'm like, chivalry's not dead as I'm like running up the stairs in that same sort of scene. That was all improv. So there were so many little things like that were not written, that were not there. And we also had the writers on set every day as well, which was kind of rare and kind of
Right.
nice
Yeah.
because then they were sort of watching us play and have a good time with these scenes. And then that gave them ideas. And then they were like, oh, we need to add this line here. And so like, whoever Jimmy would run up and be like, okay, I think can we like do an alternate line for this section? Which was like super fun to be able to do.
That is awesome. It sounds like it was more the set and the whole project was almost like an organism as opposed to like, okay, black and white, we're going to go down this list of things, you know?
Yeah, it was very much like living and breathing and things were changing all the time and we were all having a really great time and it was less structured and like this is, A plus B plus C, that whole thing. Yeah, it was very much more free flowing, which I appreciated. It was a lot of fun and made everything just easier and more fun.
Any pressure acting with Sadie? I don't mean from her, obviously, but just the natural, I think, pressure of starstruck is probably the wrong word, but just being around, like, okay, this is Adam Sandler's company's production and that kind of thing, and now I'm acting with his daughter. Yeah, was there anything there, or did that go away pretty quick, or not at all?
It was there in the beginning, of course. I mean, when I was on the plane flying to New Jersey, I was having a panic attack. I think I blew up the bathroom on that plane like bad, like not good. There was there was a lot of anxiety there. I was sweating. I was freaked out a little bit. And that's because I was just nervous to be working with some of these like amazing actors who are so talented and who I grew up watching. I mean, that is like a very intimidating thing. But the second that I got on set, it all sort of washed away because everyone was so welcoming and chill, and it all felt so natural, right? And everybody kind of meshed together so well that a lot of it went away. And Sadie is one of the kindest people that I've met. She's so nice. She's such an angel, and I really love that girl. And working with her was such a pleasure. And she was probably one of the best scene partners that I could have asked for.
Yeah, I'm sure she gets that from Adam. I've never met Adam, but I've heard over and over and over again that he's just one of the most genuine, nicest human beings, and that's always, of course, nice to hear in the industry, right?
It's true. Yeah, they say not to meet your idols because you don't want them to be,
For sure.
bad. But meeting Adam and meeting these people, like they were so humble, so down to earth, just really kind, normal, great people, which is kind of exactly what you want and what you look for.
How did you get into acting? What was your start? I know we don't have like 15 hours to go over this, but
It's all good. I mean,
how did you kind of get embraced in this and say, no, no, I want to at least try this?
yeah, I when I was younger, I was a very like outgoing and charismatic kid, and I had a lot of energy. Um, and I would do little performances for my family and make them sit down on the couch and watch it. And I'm sure they were really bad, but I'm also sure my mom and my dad look back on that and, and think it's very sweet. So I would do these one-man shows, and then I also think my mom at that point was like, okay, we gotta give this kid an outlet and something to do where he can put his energy. And I started doing school plays. And that's when I really fell in love with acting, was when I started doing theater. That's kind of where it all started. And I think that's where it starts for a lot of people. I think theater is very accessible, especially when it's in school. And I'm very grateful to the schools that I went to for having a good theater program, because that's kind of where it all started for me.
That's awesome. All right, so you mentioned Mean Girls and you mentioned Clueless, two amazing choices. What are some of your other favorite films? Like if there's let's take it in two categories. Three categories. One, the best film of all time, best film you've ever seen. Second, your favorite film, and third, kind of that comfort film. Like, hey, anytime it's on, even on accident, I'm gonna sit down and watch this.
Okay. Best film of all time is so hard, and I feel like I inevitably will say the wrong answer, and someone's going to be like, I can't believe that that is his idea of
Well,
it. But
in fairness, sometimes that can change on mood. but
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It changes day to day.
yeah,
There's two. There's the A24 film Waves. I really love, and I can't say enough good things
that's a
about it.
great choice.
And another film that I really loved when it first came out was Interstellar. I thought it was an amazing film. It was so well written. The score was amazing. I think what was the other
Oh,
category?
sorry.
Sorry.
Favorite film and then comfort film.
Comfort film. Oh, comfort film is Mean Girls, probably. I mean, that is
Fair
truly
enough.
like a great comfort film. Another film that I really love is Bodies, Bodies, Bodies with Rachel Sennett.
Oh yeah,
So, like, that's the type of horror that I like, you know? I'm not big on like jump scares. That
sure.
is a little too much for
Agreed.
me.
Agreed.
Um, but that sort of campy, slightly comedic horror is something that I really, really love. It's also something I think the Pearl sort of X series does very well. Although X was creepy, and that was probably my limit on like creepiness for horror. But Maxine, oh my God, like so campy, so Hollywood, um, and it's shot beautifully. Those would be my films that I really, really like.
Excellent choices. All right, we'll close it out with this because you brought the kind of campy horror film. Have you? I was gonna ask originally off the top of my head. Have you seen They Will Kill You and like Renfield and like kind of campy horror films like that? But I'm gonna change that question to say, do you get a chance to actually go out and enjoy the art form in the theater, or is it just so all about the work? Like, because I can imagine I've covered athletes for 16 years right here in Nashville, so when you ask a hockey player, hey, did you go, did you see the Dodger game or whatever it is, whatever. They're like, oh, we try, I usually don't go out to sporting events because one, there's no time, and two, it just kind of disconnects their mind, right? For a little bit, they get that reset button. Do you ever get a chance to actually just go and enjoy yourself at the theater?
I do, yeah. I do, and I'm going later to see Forbidden Fruits, which I'm very excited to see, which premiered at South by Southwest, I believe.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's another one of those sort of like campy films that I really love so much. So I'm looking forward. I'm gonna go to AMC Burbank and go see that. And I'm excited for that. So yeah, I do get the opportunity to go to the movie theater, and I think that the movie theater is such a special place, and there's like not really anywhere else you get to fully engulf yourself in film in that way.
Completely agree. Aidan Langford of the new Netflix comedy Roommates, Happy Madison production, has been our guest on the Untitled Film Project podcast. Aidan, thank you so much for doing this. I really, really appreciate it. I wish you nothing but the best. The movie is truly hilarious, but has a ton of heart, which is my favorite combination of a comedy. So I wish you guys nothing but the best with this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me and chatting.
Thank you for listening to the Untitled Film Project podcast. To support the show, please rate, review, follow, and subscribe. Original music by Jeremy Schwartz. Special thanks to the Music City Film Critics Association. Editing and post-production by Jeremy K. Gover. Voiceover by Chad Bennett.